go piling into the Europa League, I do want to talk quickly about Marco Rose becoming the new Dortmund manager, or being announced as the new Dortmund manager from next season, Sam. This is a reasonably big appointment. I think quite a lot of people foresaw it, and it seemed like the sensible appointment. But getting it over the line is big for Dortmund.
I mean, look, for Dortmund, this is good news because just about any qualified manager at this point would be a huge upgrade on Edin Terzic. They've just got worse under his tutelage so far, and it's a shame for them that they can't get Rose in immediately, because the Dortmund team does feel like a bit of a mess. It does feel pretty uncoordinated, pretty disorganized. It feels like it's only going to get worse as well. According to everyone on my Twitter feed that closely follows and covers Bundesliga, Marco Rose is a really good personality fit for Dortmund, which is very, very important for every club, but seems particularly important for Dortmund. Dean, you've written in the past about sort of the church of Jurgen Klopp at Dortmund and their search for a man and a manager who really suits them as a club and their ideology and their personality. And by all accounts, Rose is that kind of guy. So there's one tick. And the other tick is that tactically, he's very good. Works very well with young players. Comes out of the Red Bull coaching tree, which is something we will get onto later on in this episode as well, with a couple of other guys that really stand out in this area. But through from RB Salzburg into Borussia Mönchengladbach, excels at training youth, excels at changing his formation. I've seen him play 4-2-3-1, diamond, and 3 at the back. And I've seen him change the shape of his team specifically to cater for certain opponents with great success as well. So I'd say he's probably about the best manager Dortmund could possibly have attracted in this situation. So it's an automatic win, in my opinion.
It was pretty bad. It was like the worst kept secret in football for a few weeks there. And I think it came to the point it just had to come out in the open, like what he was going to do, because his own club deserved the respect of that. And I think Dortmund needed to know that Terzic wasn't going to be in this job for that much longer.
I think you've got to tell Haaland and Sancho that he's not going to be around.
Well, that's obviously part of it as well. But, the first job for Dortmund, and it's Terzic's job, is to make sure that they're not in the Europa League next season. This entire episode is about the Europa League, but Dortmund at this rate might be in this conversation by that point. But look, Rose went into the Gladbach dressing room and broke the news to them, and apparently some of them feel quite betrayed, because a few weeks ago when the rumours came out, he kind of assured them that he still had big plans at Gladbach. Obviously, they're into the knockouts of the Champions League and they've got a big game against Man City coming up. We'll have to see now how this affects the mindset of the team. And ultimately, of course, Gladbach, they've been on a great trajectory. They've had some really good times under him. What comes next? Now, one thing that I've heard that they'll look at is, don't forget, Marco Rose came from RB Salzburg. Gladbach might well be looking back at RB Salzburg to see if they can get a certain Jesse Marsch to come on over. Look, I don't know if he would go for that, but it's interesting. It makes sense that that's the kind of coach that they're going to go for. So we'll see what they can do. But yeah, really interesting one. And at least Dortmund fans have something to look forward to on the horizon. And then in the meantime, it's just absolute desperation, hoping that somehow Terzic can get this team to claw out enough results that make sure they qualify for the Champions League. Because at the moment, that ain't looking likely.
I mean, I guess the thing is that they've played each other twice now in the Bundesliga, so that they won't have to face each other again in that.
They got
respect.
a cup game coming up, haven't they?
But they do have a DFB Pokal quarterfinal on March the 2nd. They're currently on the same points, right? They're both on 33 points, 3 points off Leverkusen, who are in the Europa League spot right now, and 6 points off Wolfsburg, who occupy the final Champions League spot. I guess, you make a point there, Dean, that it's important to tell people what you're doing because you don't want to be keeping people in the dark, and especially important for Dortmund. But you do kind of get the feeling that it comes down to the last day and Gladbach are 1 point ahead of Dortmund in the race for that fourth spot. What starts playing on people's minds? And, we saw this in various things before. We saw that with Stefan de Vrij, didn't we, Sam, when he moved from Lazio to Inter Milan. We saw this when Niko Kovac was announced as the new Bayern manager before the season ended at Frankfurt, and there were games between them at that point. It was all just a bit mad, a bit mental. It starts to bring up narratives that probably aren't true, right? You'd expect that whatever happens, Marco Rose goes through the rest of this season trying to win every single game as Gladbach manager because he is a professional and he will do his job. But it starts to bring out narratives that people are like, oh, we've been betrayed. And it does feel occasionally when they announce these things early what happens if, and the same with Upamecano, I think, going to Bayern. What happens in the Leipzig game if they need to win to see the title off, and Upamecano makes a crucial mistake? Suddenly you're looking at it being like, hang on, what's happening? And it just adds an extra element of storyline, sure, but also of people writing their own narratives about things, which makes life a little bit more difficult, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. The big one for me was when Mario Götze was at Dortmund and he was basically announced as a Bayern Munich player for the following season. Just before what? Oh, yeah, the Champions League final between those two clubs. That one really got me. Very strange stuff. Is it a German thing? I don't know. Most of the examples we have here, Stefan de Vrij aside, are Germans. They're so organized and they get this stuff done so early. Upamecano confirmed Monday, Marco Rose to Dortmund confirmed on Tuesday. This happens quite a lot. Maybe it's just the drawback of being super organized, but I'm sure they've all made their peace with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a lot of work for Marco Rose to do, and we got a message actually from one of our listeners, Joel, who messaged to say, can we do the 5 things that Marco Rose needs to do when he joins Dortmund? And I said no, because we have no idea currently what those 5 things are going to need to be, but it might be something that we come back to in the summer when we have more of an idea of exactly what
Haaland,
Rose will have to do.
Sancho, keep Reina and start winning some more. There you go.
Yeah, thank you, Dean. Yeah,
this
all nice to have Dean here.
Yeah, this all becomes much clearer once we get to the end of the season. We know which European competition Dortmund will be in, and we start to get a look at the futures of certain players, right?
Yeah, absolutely.